I have a confession to make. YouTube isn't my dream. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy it, and well, there aren't really a lot of people in my immediate circle who have any particular interest in books, and especially not fantasy. And that's really what I love about making videos on the internet, you know, contributing to online discourse about the books that I love. And it's fun, actually, communicating with people that share my interests. That said, my greatest dream, or wish in life, so to speak, is to become a writer. So let me start by telling you how it all began, and then we'll get to the point of this video. But don't skip, okay? It's all important. And I'd absolutely hate for you to play a part in disappointing the YouTube gods. You wouldn't do that to lonely me, would you? You'd much rather subscribe and watch this entire thing, wouldn't you? So ever since I was a kid, I've always loved movies and stories in general, and I even wanted to be an actor at one point too. But you know, as time progressed, that desire slowly shifted into just wanting to tell a story in general. And I'd also kind of grown up on YouTube and watching a bunch of those MCU movie reviews and analysis back when they were popular. I especially remember watching a video that compared Batman v Superman to Captain America Civil War, and pointing out all the storytelling devices that made Captain America Civil War and Iron Man's conflict in particular feel much more earned in comparison to the conflict in Batman v Superman. But anyways, I got into storytelling, and I'd actually also recently begun to read a lot of manga and webtoons in particular. For those of you who don't know, webtoon.com actually has a function where you can upload your own webtoons and garner yourself your own following if you are good enough. And I'd always been pretty decent at drawing, so I kind of attempted to create my own webtoon, in the hopes that I could upload my own story and become a great comic book artist. You know, how hard could it really be? Turns out it was very hard, but when I began that process, I actually began creating the story that I'm writing right now, although a very different version than what it became. I spent weeks drawing that first chapter of my great webtoon, some of which I've actually still got on my computer. And when I was done and I looked my first chapter over, I do admit I started to question my drawing abilities, because it just did not look good. I might be slightly better at drawing than the average guy, but good enough to draw a webtoon, I most certainly am not. So I gave up on the idea. I determined that my drawing skills were just too far behind to create the product that I wanted. Fortunately, I got into reading at that point, and I started to love fantasy, and epic fantasy in particular. Mistborn was the first that I read, and God, that trilogy is so good. And so I sat down and I thought to myself, drawing is too hard, so why don't I just write it all? Because as we all know, prose is notoriously easy, right? I don't really know what went through my mind. I guess I just saw a new avenue of storytelling, and reading didn't seem as boring and foreign to me as it had in my childhood. It did take me quite a while to actually start writing though. You know, opening up OneNote and writing down a bunch of random characters and ideas and plot points for my story until eventually, I don't know how I did it, I just started writing. And I'm really kind of a lazy guy. Like, I think writing a 2,000-word essay is a pain. But somehow this turned into thousands upon thousands of words of voluntary writing, which just seemed so foreign to me. And I know it's quite cheesy to say, but you know how there are all those children's shows where a bunch of people always say, oh, you'll find a dream that you'll love to chase, and you'll feel like this will be your purpose in life. And I always used to think that's a bunch of children cartoons bullshit. No way in hell I'm ever gonna enjoy anything productive in my entire life. But for the first time, I really felt it. Maybe they weren't just dumb stories, you know? Or I don't know, maybe they were for a lot of people. But yeah, I'm still writing now, 171,000 words in. I've had my ups and downs, of course, productive periods where I slept, and yeah. This is my dream, and the whole point of this channel in many ways is to share this dream with others. I can be a lonely guy and just, I don't know, I find value in engaging at least just a little bit with other people who love stories and fantasy as much as I do. Especially because sometimes I really have this desire to share that and talk about it. And with my parents, it just kind of feels like they have to listen to it because, Well, they have to listen to what their son's interested in, I guess. It just sometimes feels like I'm talking to a void that's there to listen, but it doesn't really care. And I'm not delusional. I know most of you probably don't really care either. But maybe this will resonate with some of you, I don't know. In a way, you're just a void too. My novel, however, is nowhere near in finished condition. When I first started writing, I aimed for around 120,000 words, to be honest, but it just kept expanding and expanding. Right now, it'll probably end up at around 200,000 words, maybe less, depending on how much I cut out or add in, because this shit definitely needs revisions. My original vision for the story has changed and expanded so much from when I wrote the first chapter, and when I read it, I can tell. But I'm going to keep working on it until someday I feel satisfied. And when I do, I hope to publish. And hopefully there'll be some people out there who are willing to do it. If not, I'll just write another. And don't you worry, in case you did, I might have my ups and downs, 2 months straight without uploading. But fear not, because if that happens again, I will return at some point. Either when I get myself together or I get too tired of having no one to talk to about fantasy. TLDR, I'm writing a novel and now you know, I guess. And so you made it to the end. And now you're probably wondering, why in the hell did I ever watch this entire thing? It's just some random dude rambling for minutes on end. But I am certain if you watched another one of my videos, well, you'd most assuredly find the answer.